Together all season long. They went all in to try and win this year, trading for Jimmy Butler and Tobias Harris, and they came up short to the Toronto Raptors. Here is Joel Embiid after the loss.
I don't know, Game 7, losing the game that way, last shot, after a hard-fought game, I feel like we had a chance. A lot of things go through your mind, and it sucks.
Joel, you've been here for almost all of the process. Where would you say the process is right now? And you just played the most minutes you've ever played in regulation. Are you tired?
I don't give a damn about the process. And no, I'm not tired.
All right, and a lot of questions now surrounding this team as they head into the offseason with the coaching, with some personnel, with contracts that are going to expire and whatnot. What do you think are the biggest issues facing this team as we move now to
they have to figure out a way to survive when that man goes to the bench. I mean, last night was another just golden example of what's been the story of the entire series and the entire season for them. When Joel Embiid goes to the bench, they fall apart. Last night he played 45 minutes. 45 minutes. They outscored the Raptors by 10 in those 45 minutes. In the 3 minutes he sat, they lost by 12. Greg Monroe came in the game for 101 seconds. They lost those 101 seconds by 9 points. They have no answer for when he goes to the bench. That was the story of the whole series, was they could not account for when Embiid wasn't out there. The other element is one of the reasons they can't account for when Embiid's not out there is the other part of the process. Their other young star is not a young star right now. Well, but in these close games at the end of playoff games, you saw it. They basically had 3 shot clock violations. Only one was called a shot clock violations, but 3 straight possessions, 85-85, 87-85 was the score, coming out of a timeout where they had shot clock violation or they had a de facto shot clock violation. This was the first one after a timeout. They then took a 27-foot three because the clock was winding down, turned the ball over. Like, their offense grinded to a halt, and it was terrible, in part because they're playing 4-on-5 offensively. So those are all issues for them that predate what they're doing with Jimmy Butler and Tobias Harris.
They need a point guard. And that's why you can't run your offense. I don't care what the coach says. I don't care what Ben Simmons says. I get so sick of people say, oh, man, he's a point guard. Oh, okay. Why can't you run your offense at the end of the game? Because he doesn't have the intangibles. Just because a guy can dribble does not make him a point guard. You need someone to be able to set it up. And like I said last week, let's not forget, Markelle Fultz not being on this team, it showed again. Because the process wasn't about just those 2 players. Right. There was another player involved that was supposed to be part of that process, and he is a pure point guard. Now, he went through a whole bunch of things and everything off the court. But that's where they have a hole in their roster. So for me, what do they need to do? Like, they need to be able to fill that void. They need to be able to get a point guard. Now, I do believe that Ben Simmons is a special talent. But when you get in games like this, and I'm going to say it again, it becomes important to be able to shoot the basketball outside of the restricted area. The biggest game of his career, he shoots the ball 5 times. He's an all-star. You would have to, man, a guy would have to have a broken wrist to be an all-star and not shoot the ball in critical situations like this. Why do they struggle when Joel Embiid's off? Because they're challenged offensively. Ben Simmons is a hole. He is a liability. They are basically playing 5 defenders on 4 offensive players, and he does not have, at this point in his career, the skill that big guards like Magic Johnson, LeBron James, to set up, understand passing lanes, understand those things, comfortable enough dribbling the basketball with both hands. He is not that player. You can try to make him out to be, but he's not that player at this stage. And I do understand that he is young. I do understand that.
Yeah.
But at this stage of his career, he's not that player.
So do you think this team looks different next year?
Well, that's the thing is, I still think, despite all of that, if you're Philly, because you have traded away the draft picks, because even if guys walk, you're not going to have a ton of space because you are going to re-up Simmons at some point. I do think that you have to do all you can to keep Jimmy Butler. And you got to do all you can to keep Tobias Harris. If I had to pick one of the two, I'd pick Jimmy Butler. But they are going to, now Zaire Smith, their first-round pick this year, will be back. Like they should hopefully be able to develop more of a bench. But it's going to be about, can you keep the players that you traded away future assets for? I believe their ownership will attempt to. And does Ben Simmons do something he clearly did not do this offseason, which is put in the requisite work to add another layer to his game, even if that's a multi-offseason process. He didn't even, to me, get to step one of that process between years 1 and 2 of his actual active career.
Yeah, they can't sign Tobias to the max. They can't sign Jimmy Butler to the max. Like, both of those guys have to come together. Like, what's best for Philly is both of those guys come together and say, we want to be part of these young guys developing. We're willing to take a little bit less to be able to stay here.
All right. Take a break. Coming up, did James Harden choke by coming up short against Golden